Hey, who's ready to play some Magic? I am. I have a little bit of time. What? I haven't really logged in yet today, so what is this? Jump in. Explore popular cards and strategies. Maybe find a new favorite. Jump in. When you join this event, two different half decks. Resign at any time. If you wish to rejoin and pick new packets, you will have to try again. Pay the entry, but you'll keep the cards from your deck. It's kind of like Uh, the other, like Jumpstart or whatever the other ones are. Two different half decks from a variety of themes in Standard. Combine them and you'll have a deck that's ready to go. Yeah, it sounds a lot like that other thing that they were doing. I can't remember what it's called. Horizons? Are they still doing that? Let's see. Quick Draft Midnight Hunt. There's only 16 hours left of that. That might be what we do today. I really like doing Premier Drafts. Premier drafts are a little bit more expensive, so I don't generally do them often unless the quick draft format is some set that I'm not like that interested in drafting. Um, 5,000 as opposed to what is it, 10,000 for the Premier. Premier's 10,000. Yeah, 10,000. So it's twice as much for the Premier, but you get better rewards, obviously. 2,200 gems as opposed to with Quick Draft, you get maximum of 950. So 2,200 is more than twice as much as 950. Um, so it's a better deal to do the Premier drafts. Obviously, it's high. It's higher stakes, I think. Um, and that's probably why you can win more. This one you can take your time. It rewards drafters who know the cards, uh, well, don't know the cards as well, I guess, as Premier Draft. Um, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's a lower skill level just because, you can take your time with the picks. And you're not picking against other players. You're picking against the computer. That's a major difference too. Um, and the computer goes off of algorithms of like picked cards. So I'm sure it's very similar to drafting against other players, but the difference is you might get like drafting against other players, you might get a player who's very extreme into one theme or one color or something that's like he's forcing something out of it. Whereas in this type of draft format, um, you're everything is like based on the law of averages, right? And card ratings and scores and things like that. So you're never going to get a bot that um, just like guns for one color or something, or guns for a specific theme, is looking for specific cards, you know. Also, another thing that you might find in Premier Drafts is players who draft rares because they need those cards. That could be a thing. I don't know how often that happens online because I mean you can basically buy any card at any time. It's I think, right? I mean, you can yeah, you can unlock any rare the with the wild cards. So I don't think that you're going to get as many people like paper magic. That was a thing, you know. People would go to drafts and rare draft and just take the rare card because it's rare, not because it's playable in their deck, or not because it's maybe it has like a dollar value, and they know what the dollar value is, and so they'll take it instead of taking a card that they'll actually play just because of the dollar value, or you know maybe because they have a deck that they're trying to fill and they need that specific card. Um, just like buying packs and opening packs. That's exactly what it is. Except, uh, you know, when it comes to prizes, which I think is more important, if you are the type of person that can actually get 7 wins, then you definitely don't want to rare draft or draft outside of the deck that you're drafting because that um, is a losing strategy, right? You're setting yourself up to get worse cards for the deck, and so even though you might get the card that you were looking for in in one of these three packs, or someone passes you that card that you're looking for, if it's not going in your deck, then you're just hurting yourself, and then you won't get as many wins as likely, and then you're going to end up with less gems and less packs. See how the packs go up after 3 wins. It's like 3 packs, 4 packs, 5 packs, 6 packs. That's a lot of packs. So I mean, if you get all the way to 7 wins, but you drafted like none of the rares from these packs, you're getting 6 rares. So that's probably more rares that you would have gotten if you were just rare drafting, right? Which was an actual thing in Paper Magic, which I don't think it's as prevalent here. Anyway, um, that never happens with quick drafts. And since we have only 16 hours left in this is the last chance that we get to do this before they rotate it to another thing, and then eventually they might rotate it back. They usually do, but let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do a quick draft. Um, I'm gonna take my time with it. I don't know. It's ironic they call it quick because it's not very quick. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about like card ratings, and I'm also gonna talk about the deck that I'd want to be playing. So my strategy is always like look at the uncommons and look at the rare, right? Generally speaking, the rare is going to have the highest value, play value most of the time. But sometimes it has the least play value. There are definitely rares that have uh, like a very low play value. This particular card, I'm going to go ahead and look up the the rank, and this for ranking cards, I generally use Draftism. It may or may not be the best draft ranking system out there. I think it uses algorithms. It uses a similar algorithm, I'm guessing, to the actual arena algorithm. Um, so let's talk about so there's according to Draftism, there's 43 rares or mythic rares that are above any other card of any other rarity, right? And then in rank 44 right now, you have Borrowed Time, which is the white exile enchantment, kind of like Oblivion Ring if you used to play that card. It was probably one of the first ones of this kind. Did the same thing. So Borrowed Time, definitely one of the. It is the highest ranked uncommon in the set. So automatically, like you're gonna recognize these very specific uncommons, and that you're gonna probably take above these rares. It doesn't look like the rare in in this set right now. Ghoul Harvest is ranked super high. It's actually, let's see if I can find it even. Um, just give me a minute here. Uh, might help to wear my glasses too. I might have already passed it on the list. So I'm just going through the list on my phone, so that's why you can't actually see it if you were trying to look for it right now. Um, 1 second here. Still looking for it. Look, it does not look like it's high on the list. Um, yeah, Ghoul Harvest. It's ranked 161 on Draftism. That is pretty darn low. And now let's take a look at the actual card, okay? Like I said, we have a lot of time for this draft, so we don't need to like rush. We can really dive deep into some of these cards, and it prepares you for the premier draft really well because you know you've looked at a lot of cards, you've done the research, and and like you can kind of identify the cards quickly because Premier Draft is always also timed because you're playing against other players. That would be really awkward if like someone was taking as much time as me doing their draft in a Premier Draft and it wasn't timed. I don't think that would be fair to anyone. So, just right off the bat, it looks like Ghoul Caller's Harvest is ranked. I already said it's ranked 161, but I'm trying to compare it to some of the other cards that I see here, and the next card that the next highest ranked card in here, just above that one. I'm looking for it still, and I may not have it on the dot here, but um, I think it might be Evolving Wilds. Um, just doing some checks here. Nope. Uh, Blood Thief is actually underneath. Sorry, this guy. Why did I say Blood Thief? Interloper. Interloper is ranked between um, Evolving Wilds and Ghoul Caller's Harvest. So that's like off the bat. I didn't go up the list very far just to find out that this card is ranked higher and Evolving Wilds is ranked higher than Interloper. Um, on pack one, pick one, you have to make a really important decision. This isn't going to dictate your entire deck. This may be a throwaway card. You may open pack one, get a crap rare. I'm not going to say this is a crap rare, but it is obviously ranked lower than a common. Then it's not crap, but it's not great, right? So in a situation where you don't have a bomb rare or you don't have a first pick rare or just like a rare that is better than the commons or uncommons in the pack in general, um, then you can. What does that tell you? It tells you that it's this pack one, pick one is not dictating your deck at all, right? You know that the next pack that you open, the next pack that's going to get passed to you, is very likely going to have a better card in it than this deck, right? So this can happen. It's unlucky, but at the same time, it's going to help you in other ways. So the person that's passing the next pack to you has already going to pick a card, and everyone's already kind of picked their card that's going to help dictate their deck for them, and then they're going to follow that path, and so you have to start reading the signs of those other players. In a bot uh, situation like this, there's less signs that you can read, but there's patterns instead of signs. So let's just take a look at the general like feel of cards. We already know that Evolving Wilds is ranked higher than Interloper, which is ranked higher than Harvest. Why is Harvest ranked lower? Let's see. It's 2 mana, sorcery speed, create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens with Decayed. Okay, so right off the bat, you know that the creatures that you're creating with this card are Decayed creatures, so they're not going to stay in play. Um, so they're not going to hold a lot of value, right? These token creatures, I mean, you can think of them as just like, I don't know, sack this thing to deal 2 damage to something. Or, it's a creature to be sacrificed. That's essentially what these creatures are really meant for. You could, in theory, build a nice little aggro deck out of these like Decayed zombie theme cards, but more often the usefulness of these cards are going to be to sacrifice them for some other effect. So this is a supporting card more than it is like an aggro card. Also more than it is like uh, like a solid like keeps you in the game card. Getting let's see, you can get more than one zombie out of this, which is nice, but again, they're decayed creatures, so like think of it as like treasure tokens almost. Like would you play a card that gives you X treasure tokens um over a card or a land that lets you look for any land in your deck, or a card that is harder to block than most cards that deals 2 damage every turn. Um, I guess according to Draftism, no, you wouldn't. Um, the fact that you can cast this from your graveyard also is kind of an added bonus. So this card goes really well in a mill deck. Um, so this if you were passed this card later in the game and you're already playing a mill deck, like let's say this is pack 2, you've already constructed a green black kind of list over here. That's what you've been picking mostly. Then this would be a good first pick on pack 2 because you know what kind of deck you're playing, and this is the exact card that fits into that deck. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes bad cards or mediocre cards will be like the best card for your deck. And when that happens, uh, this it would be appropriate to pick this card. Pack one, pick one. You want to generally stay away from gold cards or multicolored cards, right? The reason being is because that makes it harder for you to pick the kind of deck that you're going to be playing for the rest of this draft. The safest card to pick out of everything would probably be Evolving Wilds because you don't have any commitments whatsoever, and it actually kind of mitigates your commitments because you have a way to uncommit to certain colors, right? Meaning that you're more likely to play 3 color decks or 4 or 5 color decks even, but so you don't have to commit to like specific colors. You can pick like the best card in every pack if it follows a good theme. I think the strongest thing to do in drafts is to follow a theme, right? So like if the theme that you're following is mill, this would be a great card. So you want to pick as many cards that have to do with milling and uh, using your graveyard for an advantage. And you can see that like it doesn't look like really any of these other cards have anything to do with your graveyard, right? Um, Back in your graveyard. Any number them into your graveyard. So this card would go with this card, but except that it's blue. And this card is not very good at all. It does cost 1 mana, and it is instant, but uh, basically it's like a Scry 3 in a way, if you think about it, right? Like you're looking at 3 cards, and then one of those cards is going back on top of your library. None of them goes into your hands. So that makes this card very bad. It's a card disadvantage. You're not putting anything on the field, you're not taking away anything from your opponent's field, and you're not putting anything into your hand. So 1 mana for a scry, and that's all it does. That's no good. You get value out of scry when it's attached to other things, right? Uh, I don't see any like examples here where it says like do a thing and also scry. But that's generally how scry is supposed to work when it's useful. This is a crap card. Um, Plummet's pretty low on the list, I know. No reason to, you know, keep your eyes on this card. It's going to come back around every time. You're going to get left with a plummet, even if you don't. It'll be like a last pick or whatever. Pestilent Wolf, pretty good card. I'm not looking at the list right now. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should look for these uncommons. You see a 2/2 at the beginning of your end, step in, an opponent lost life this turn, put a counter on target vampire you control. So you can put the counter on her, or you can put it on a different vampire. So I'm going to start from the Evolving Wilds and go up the list and see if I see anything else that is a pick that's available to me here. Yeah, it looks like Blood Thief, this 2/2 that I was just looking at. It is the next higher card on Draftism above Evolving Wilds. So that could be a good card to take if these other cards are not on the list. I don't see any burn spells. I don't see any black hard removals. So nothing's really standing out to me. I mean, like a card like this, sacrifice a creature to draw 3 cards. Um, it's a it's good in theory, and it probably is a pretty decent card in the right deck. But I mean, again, it's a card that kind of goes with this because you're sacking a creature, right? But again, it's blue, so maybe there's a good blue, black, green deck that's going around right now. But as of right now, um, it seems like the Blood Thief is the one to take in this pack, unless let's see what Morning Patrol. Where is Morning Patrol listed? I doubt it's listed super high. Um, Morning Patrol, yeah, 132. So not not great. A little bit. It's higher than Ghoul-Caller's Harvest, I think. Yeah, it's higher than Evolving Wilds. Somehow I skipped it. But yeah, Morning Patrol, lower on the list than Blood Thief, I believe. And I do not see Delver of Secrets higher on the list. I didn't think that it would be. 140. Where's Delver? I mean, Delver's a great card, especially in Historic, probably. Um, People are trying to make Delver decks right now in Standard a thing, but I don't see it. 218 in Draft. That's pretty darn low. Um, so overall, I think this pack does not give us a really. It doesn't really give us a good spread of cards. There are some good cards. Like if you were had your heart set on green, both of these picks would probably be pretty decent. If you have your heart set on black, definitely take the Blood Thief. Uh, Even if you don't have your heart set on black, this might point you in that direction. Um, Morning Patrol is a decent pick if you definitely wanted to go with white. This is a pretty good card, Falkenrath Perforator. I think I should probably look this card up. Falkenrath Perforator. Let's find it on the list. Because I would guess that this is pretty high on the list. Pretty decent. Because, I mean, 2 mana for a 2-power creature that also deals the damage every time it attacks is pretty nice. It's very aggressive. Okay, maybe I'm totally wrong because I do not see it on the list. That's weird. Thought it would be higher. Okay. Um, let's keep looking. Yeah, Plummet's really low. It's 257 on the list. Um, Component Collector 250. Otherworldly Gaze 251. Very low cards. You really don't want to have to play anything 200 or less on the list if you can help it. I really thought that this Perforator thing would be higher on the list. Oh, wow, 208. I was pretty wrong, but you know what? It's still ranked higher. Wait, no, it's not. What am I saying? I guess I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, I think we have our pick. I think our pick is gonna want to be the Blood Thief. And I didn't go into this knowing what I wanted to do, but I didn't necessarily want to be playing a black deck. I haven't had a good history with these drafts playing black for whatever reason. I just haven't had a lot of luck. So a safer, I might safely pick an Evolving Wilds just because I don't know what I'm playing and I don't know what I want to play, and that's okay to do. You know, it's not the end of the world if you have to first pick an Evolving Wilds. It really opens up your options and keeps things. I mean, like this isn't a build around card, right? But this says that I don't have to build around anything. You know, opens up my options more. Um, yeah, nothing's really screaming at me. None of these cards are like really super great. So I think actually Evolving Wilds it is. I think that this, even though it's not the highest ranked card, it it tells it's a message to myself that I'm not committed to anything yet. I'm relying on the next pack to tell me to give me a sign as to give me something better than a blood thief, right? Which I'm pretty confident that we're going to see something way better than a blood thief in this next pack. We're going to get at least 3 uncommons, and if not, we're going to get 2 uncommons and a rare, right? To choose from. So we're going to go with Evolving Wilds this time, and then we're going to look at what we've got. Village Watch. This is a really good black card. So if I had gone with the Blood Thief, you know, this would have been good to go with it. Also, that rare that we looked at that we didn't take. This is a pretty high ranked card as well. I'm not a fan of this card. I actually had picked this card over some cards that I wanted because it was ranked higher. And then I ended up taking it out of my deck the last time I draft. And, you know, it didn't work out for me. Maybe it works for, somebody playing like a graveyard deck. But that was not the case for me. Path of Festival, not very good in my opinion. I mean, it's ramp, but uh, it lets you search for any basic land. Follows the theme. It's not really a theme. Evolving Wilds is not a theme. Um, Startle's decent. Howl for the Hunt is not very good. Um, Bounding Wolf is just okay. It's better when you have something that gives +1 to all wolves, right? So right now, I don't know what Village Watch is at, but off the bat, I would say Sacred Fire is a cool card. It is a gold card, so it's more limiting to what you play, and which is why this ends up being like a last pick for a lot of people probably, because not a lot of people are playing red white. I don't see a lot of red white decks. I see a couple. They don't end up being very cohesive. Um, oh, Candle Trap is really good too. So let's take a look at comparing. Let's take a look at comparing Startle, which well, we should look up Village Watch because I'm sure it's somewhere in the mid-range. But we should look up Startle, its exact rank, Awakener's exact rank, and Candletrap's exact rank, because I think that those are the cards that I would want to look at personally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at I'm going to start where I see. Oh, wow, Sacred Fire is actually ranked 70. Okay, so that might very well be the highest ranked card in this. Nope, nope. Worgen Hoarder is ranked 62. So that so far is the highest ranked card in this pack. And maybe the reason why I didn't like Organ Hoarder in the deck that I played before was because I got it in pack 3 and my deck really didn't have anything to do with the graveyard. And so having a 4 mana 3/2 that draws you a card basically and fills your graveyard with useful things, my graveyard wasn't filling with useful things. Um, I didn't really get screwed by this card ever. Like most of the times I was just pitching lands into the graveyard, but at the same time, it didn't really have as much usefulness as I wanted it to in the deck. and I ended up playing a lot of lower ranked cards because those cards fit really well in the theme, which was like a blue-white stall deck. This is not really a blue-white stall tactic. This is more of a blue-white, or no, more like maybe a blue-black theme, graveyard theme card. More often than not, you're going to be pitching like the better card into the graveyard, and then um, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So I'm going to start at the list at 44 because that's where borrowed time is. That's where all the uncommons are. And then I'm going to go down from there, and the next uncommon is Infernal Grasp. There is no Infernal Grasp here, right? The next uncommon is Cathartic Pyre. No Cathartic Pyre. That's a red burn spell. Morbid Opportunist, which is a rogue that lets you draw a card every time something dies, which is super good for card advantage. He's not here. He's an uncommon. Um, Next uncommon is Hound Tamer, a green werewolf. Not on the list here. In fact, yeah, the only uncommon that's on the list up high, next on the list. Um, oh, this is interesting. Something I should mention here. Um, Oregon Hoarder is the second highest common on the list. So when it comes to commons, Oregon Hoarder is the one that everyone wants to be taking, I think. It it probably means that it would be dictating the deck type that I'd be playing. And I didn't really want to have to do that, but so would Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire's next on the list of good cards. It is rank 70. So I'm comparing a rank 62 to a rank 70, and which one is more likely more playable. Oh, here's also another thing that's interesting. This guy, Ecstatic Awakener, is ranked 73 on the list. This guy makes you sacrifice a creature, so you could really get the fact that this card is a common means that you can get away with probably having a lot of them in your deck. It is the third highest ranked common in the whole set. So it's like number one is a red burn spell, highest rated common. Number two, this guy. Number three, this guy. Next highest ranked common in the set looks like Olivia's Midnight Ambush, which is a black removal, and then Eccentric Farmer, which is very similar actually to Organ Hoarder. It's mill 3 cards, then return a land from your graveyard to your hand. It costs 1 less, and it's a 2/3 instead of a 3/2. I think I would have preferred a 2/3 on this guy. I think that would have made him actually a little bit better. He's not exactly an aggro card at 4 mana. This 2/3 for 3 mana at rank 81, the Eccentric Farmer, that's a green creature. I think it's just an overall. It doesn't draw you whatever you want out of the 3 cards you look at. It just gets you a land, but it puts a card in your hand. It gives you card advantage, the same as this, and that's basically all you can really hope for. You can't guarantee what you get is going to be a good thing, but what you can guarantee is that you're going to get a card to put in your hand, right? So where's Candle Trap on the list? That's what I'm kind of wondering. Because Candle Trap is a pretty decent removal. Another black removal is the next uncommon on the list. And then here's what's interesting. We get into a white creature, the Lunarch Veteran. I can't remember which place we're on the list, but it's ranked 97, and it's a common. It's a 1-drop for it's a 1/1, and it's the guy that you can. It's got It's got Disturb, so you can bring it back after it dies, but it's the one that you gain life each time a creature comes into play, and then after you bring it back with Disturb, you gain a life for every time something dies. Um, let's see. So most of the most of the commons that I'm seeing on the list that come after, uh, I still haven't seen the Village Watch. Let me try and find that really quick. Village Watch. It's probably going to be kind of middle of the road because it is just a werewolf. It's kind of a filler card, in my opinion. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Gosh, I could be really wrong, and I'm just ranked 213, pretty low. It's got haste. Werewolves you control have haste. That's a pretty useful ability. I think just because it costs 5. Creatures that cost 5 in this format, in this particular set, in draft, it's like it has to really pull its weight. And something that just is a 4/3 with haste, it's not gonna cut it in these against some of these other cards. So this is the highest ranked card, Sacred Fire. Second highest ranked card is Organ Hoarder. I didn't find Candle because I wasn't looking for it. I was looking for the other thing. Candle. Ranked 142 on the list. It's a little bit lower than I was thinking. It's a really, it's a really good removal in my opinion. There's been other cards that are similar to it where it's like low cost thing, enchantment that you put it on a creature and then it kind of stays in play, but it can't really do anything. And then you can pay a little bit of mana to get rid of it for good. There's been other cards that do similar things, but just worse. This card makes it a defender, which by itself is not it's not great, right? But the fact that it prevents all combat damage from that creature is kind of important, right? So I think having defender just doesn't even make sense, because if you're preventing all the damage that creature does, uh, I guess technically if you had that one attacker that we saw in the last pack that was like a 2/1 red creature that deals a damage every time it attacks, if you had this thing on it and it didn't give it defender, then you could actually still like attack and deal a damage every time. But so this would prevent it from doing that. But still, I mean, that's like a very specific scenario where like when you attack, something happens, right? So this prevents it from attacking. This also prevents all the damage, which is the important thing. Um, and if you meet the criteria and you pay 3 mana, you can sacrifice this thing to exile that creature. And that comes in handy when, let's say, this creature is going to die and it has Disturb. You don't want him disturbing that creature after it dies. So you can pay that 3 mana to get rid of that creature permanently so he can't disturb it or get it back from the graveyard or whatever. But awesome removal in my opinion. I think that this is really stellar removal for 1 mana. Um, I'm surprised that it's ranked as low as it is. So anyway, back on track. Highest ranked card, second highest ranked card, Organ Hoarder, third highest ranked card, Ecstatic Awakener, fourth highest ranked card I didn't really find because it could be Startle, but it also could be Candletrap. This is ranked pretty low, but all these other cards are ranked even lower. I'm sure of it. Silver Key, no, not any good. I've actually seen people play this card in games, and I was like, why are you playing this card? Because um, it's kind of a waste of a turn, isn't it? Search your library for an artifact card with mana ability or basic land card. There is an artifact card that has a mana ability, but it also has other abilities. If you have that card, it's like a legendary artifact. If you have that card, which I think is ranked pretty darn high, then this card actually has a use because you can search your library for that artifact and then play it. But you're spending 3 mana to do that. It's kind of lame. So what's my favorite card here? I am kind of leaning towards Organ Hoarder. I think that a strategy that utilizes cards from your graveyard might actually be easier to pull off than a strategy like, well, just playing red-white. Uh, deal 2 damage to any target, gain 2 life. It's great in theory. Um, there's two, I think there's 2 other cards in this set that deal 2 damage to a creature, and they're ranked kind of okay, but they don't gain you life, right? And they're not 2 colors; they're just 1 color. Um, yeah, Moon Silver Keys ranked 261, basically unplayable. It's called. Um, okay, so what am I looking for? I'm looking for. Oh yeah, okay. So in red, you have like a shock kind of card, but you also have immolation, which gives a creature +2/-2, which is almost the same as dealing 2 damage to it, right? Uh, but it's an enchantment rather than an instant, so it's not as fast. This is still an instant. Um, the flashback is really steep, but for some reason it's ranked very high. They must be thinking that this card can, really pull its weight. I think that it's probably played in decks that play like Thermo Alchemist, which is a 2-drop defender 0/3 that you can tap him to deal a damage to an opponent, but then when you cast an instant or sorcery, you can untap that creature. So this card is like in one of those decks that you want to be casting a lot of instants and sorceries. I've tried playing a deck like that before. I thought that I drafted a lot of good cards for that deck. We ended up not doing that well with it. The deck that I drafted this and did play it ended up being a really good deck. So if this ends up being a card that I don't play, I know my deck's going to be really good, right? This card is going to force me into 2 colors that I don't want to play. This card is just really good, but um, I've seen it backfire. It's a little bit risky. Let's say on the turn you decide I'm going to sacrifice a creature. Your opponent's got mana up, then you're kind of screwed because let's say he kills this guy in response. He only has to deal 1 damage to it. Um, you could Sacred Fire this guy in response to you activating sack a creature. So now you've just wasted 2 creatures. You got 2 for 1, right? Not very great. Actually, is that? Oh, got my phone call. I'm gonna have to take a break here. Sorry. All right, I'm back, but I don't know for how long. Um, yeah, I think I was diving a little bit too deep in all of these picks, but these first couple of picks are pretty important, right? I mean, pack 1, pick 2, this could actually start to dictate the type of deck that I'm going to be playing. Right now, um, since I don't want to be spending like too much time debating over all of this, I think I'm just going to go with the Organ Hoarder. Um, it's a It's not my favorite card, but we're going to see if we can make it work, right? Let's try it. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. All right, so this is not that great of a card. Exile a non-legendary creature, then return to the battlefield. So it's like blink something. If it entered under your control, put a +1 counter on it. Otherwise, tap it. This would be really great if an opponent like gained control of one of your creatures. Um, But you can also use this to get rid of a token creature for good, because it's not coming back into play. Um, So, or you can obviously use it to blink one of your own creatures, but not at instant speed. Make sure you realize that this card is not one of those combat trick type cards. Or you can tap one of your opponent's creatures. Not especially great, in my opinion. Yeah, a little bit underwhelming. Flip the switch. Oh man, I had 5 of these in the last draft that I did. Uh, Flip the switch is it's 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 fine. I mean I wasn't playing like a counter style deck. This is this is more of an aggro type of card, I think. Giving something +1 counter or tapping one of your opponent's creatures feels to me like an aggro card. The fact that it's 2 mana and you can flash it back for 3 mana, that's pretty low cost, tells me it's meant for an aggro deck. This is not really an aggro card. Now, I don't have to be invested in this card, but among all of the options here that I'm looking at, oh, this is a pretty good card, isn't it? Let me go ahead and take a look at this one because I think so. This is an uncommon. Yeah, rank 57. That's pretty good. Search your library for Plains card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. It's definitely ranked higher than this. So you could play this in pretty much any deck that plays white, I think. The Coven costs 2 white, so it is a little bit white heavy, and you definitely want to transform this thing. The fact that it does something when it comes into play is super cool. For 2 mana, put a Plains card from your library into your hand. Awesome card. I'm actually really glad that we don't have to take any of these other cards. This would have been really good with I don't know what we're calling it, the red white burn life gain spell. Uh, it's like a mini lightning helix with flashback. But this card is like the perfect card to get with that other red white card. A red white deck would be a great aggro deck, and to be able to like throw a bunch of spells at your opponents or their creatures and then pump your creatures at the same time, that is the definite like next pick if I had picked that lightning helix card. If I had picked the black guy, the one that you sacrifice a creature to turn it into a 4/4, um, one of these 2 cards would be great for that. This is a great card to sacrifice. So maybe this guy. This guy would probably be the one that you want to take after that 4/4. But since I took the blue hoarder guy, my choices are all of these white and blue cards, which they're in abundance here, right? This card is ranked probably the lowest among all the white cards. Uh, I really like this card, but because it's ranked so low, I kind of am hesitant now to take it. Um, and of course, there are better cards. Obviously, there's super better cards in here. I mean, even this is a better card than this card. But the fact that this is an instant tells you it's combat trick, right? Giving a creature +2 is really good. Uh, that could really surprise your opponent. You've got a 1/1 and they've got something with a 3 toughness, and then boom, you block it. It kills that creature. So this could end up being a really good combat trick, but the fact that it also gives it lifelink and you also get a 1/1 flying out of it makes this card pretty phenomenal for a common, in my opinion. Uh, what I don't really like is that it doesn't protect the creature at all. It doesn't give it any toughness. Um, it doesn't help save your creature in any way. It turns your creature into 1/1 spirit, and that's kind of the theme of this set, right? Like if your card doesn't have um, what is it? Disturb. It's like giving it disturb, sort of, without having to exile it. Um, so you could even do this on a disturb creature, get a spirit, and then get another spirit after that, after you disturb it. Um, so I think the pick here is obvious for me. It's going to be this guy. It's off of. It's not the same color as this guy. This guy wants to be probably a blue black deck, but you know what? We're gonna try and make this blue-white deck thing work again, like we did last time, and because it really worked out last time. I'm gonna try to do the same thing we did last time. This is a great card, I think. It's not ranked very high, uh, but the fact that it has flash and you can get rid of your opponent's artifacts and enchantments, there are a lot of enchantments that you'll want to get rid of in this format. So this is a decent card, in my opinion. Underranked, in my opinion. This card is pretty highly ranked. It's just a 2/2 that draws you a card, basically, but you can get away with cost, making it cost less. So, um, yeah, that might even be the second pick underneath this card. I mean, Flip the Switch is a pretty good card too. I think it ranks a little bit higher than Flip the Switch. Um, Hallowed Respite's not probably the card to put in this deck that I'm making. This is definitely the card I'm going to take because of the two cards that I picked already. All right, now we're seeing a really good werewolf, but we didn't see a lot of good like werewolf support cards before. I mean, there were some cards like this, this little mini wolves going around. Of these cards, for me, it's going to be between these two. I'm not even going to talk about Rise of the Ants. It's a really good card, but I'm not playing green. There's no need to even consider it, right? 6 mana and then 8 mana for 2/3/3s. I don't think it's really like splashable. This is like a very specific type of deck. It's your green stompy deck, and that's not what we're playing here. Not sure what we're playing yet, but it's looking like a blue-white deck. Looking very much like a blue-white deck. It's another one of these guys. We don't need to take him. It's definitely between these two. Let's take a look at the list. This is when this comes in handy. What's the better pick? So it's going to be between Gavany Trapper, right? Gavany Trapper or Falcon Abomination. So let's take a look at the list. I think it might be Gavany Trapper, but I could be wrong. Nope, it's Falcon Abomination, ranked at 104. Now I'm looking for Gavany Trapper at 135. All right, well, 104 versus 135. I think this is the card to take. Now, let's talk about these. This is obvious card, tap a creature. It's I think the only one of its kind in this set. I think they always have just one of a white like a white 1 or 2 drop that says tap a creature. Um, so many different iterations of this card, but this is a staple, and it works really well as a removal. But again, it's a little bit mana intensive. It also can't attack when you run out of creatures to tap from your opponent. Like you've removed them all or something, and now you just want to attack with it. Well, you can't because it's just a 0/2. So it's not my favorite version of this card. So I can understand why it's ranked lower than this card, which 2/2 flyer for 3 by itself, that's fine. You get a 2/2 decayed creature out of it. That makes it slightly better. In my opinion, this card should be ranked a little bit lower than this, but it ends up being really useful that you have these flying creatures. For whatever reason, even a 2/2 flying can really wreck your opponent. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Falcon Abomination. It's ranked higher, and I mean, you know my opinions about these. Neither one of these are my favorites, but let's just take the highest ranked card among the cards I see here. I mean, this is probably ranked higher. This is definitely ranked higher, but we're not playing werewolves. We're just not going to shift like that. We didn't see anything that supported werewolves yet, so the fact that this got passed to us tells me that we're not going to see a lot of werewolf support. Because this is like a first pick. This would have been a first pick for um, among all of the cards that I've seen so far. I mean, look at the cards that I've got. These are definitely nowhere in the same caliber as this card. Falcon Abomination. All right, join the dance. Mystic Skull. Neither one of these are like super phenomenal. 2 1/1s. It's fine. Flashbacks overcost, but I've used this in the past and it worked. But I need to be looking at other cards right now. Put a counter on a creature with flashback. This is all right. Sorcery speed. It gains vigilance at the tail end of turn. That actually can come in real handy. Destroy a creature with toughness 4 or greater. That is actually pretty rare. I mean, so of the creatures that are still left, like this guy is the only guy that you could kill, which would be a great target. If my opponent had all 4 of these creatures in play, and I had something that said destroy any creature, I'd probably get rid of the card that I couldn't block. So it'd either be this devil or it would be this sentry. Sentry seems a lot easier to kill, but can't be blocked with creature with 2 or less. But this requires 2 creatures to block, and it deals damage every time it goes from night to day or day to night. So it deals more damage than its power. And then Thraben Exorcism. Gosh, these are not great cards. This transforms, but I don't think this is highly ranked. This card might actually be useful in my deck though. I just want to see how it's ranked, because I think that it's ranked pretty low. Not lower than Thraben Exorcism, apparently. Or Otherworldly Gaze, which is both below 250. What am I looking for? That skull. I get pretty sidetracked. Oh, Homestead Courage is ranked 232 on the list. Pretty darn low. 229 for Mystic Skull. Gosh. These are not the picks for me, huh? Kind of unfortunate to see these picks. Not really sure what to take here. This Vigilance seems pretty good. I think I like this card a little bit better than the other cards because I'm going to be having a deck that has a bunch of like, I'm thinking small toughness, small power. This +1 counter could go a long way. Sorcery speed, which really sucks. But I don't really have a better choice, I don't think. Transform for 5. 1 mana of any color. Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, it's going to be Homestead Courage, I think. Could come in handy. All right, I need to take a break real quick. I'll be back maybe. We'll see. All right, where was I? In a draft. Yeah, I was. Oh wait, did I make a pick? Is this the? No. I don't know. Do I have to put a counter on target creature control? This card's actually pretty darn good. I don't even need to look at a list. Especially, well, actually, hold on. 3 more creatures. This gains lifelink. This card's not very good. Um, Fading Hope is good though. Fading Hope is really good. I don't have the list in front of me. Let me go grab it really quick. Yes, just as I thought. This guy that I'm looking at right now ranked 225, pretty low on the list. But what I'm more interested in is finding a card that I actually want to pick on the list. Again, I'm looking at Draftism for card rankings. Okay, Fading Hope is ranked 173. I'd probably rank it higher than that. I really love a good bounce spell. But then there's Audric's Outrider, which is an uncommon, so it's likely ranked a little bit higher. Maybe not higher than Eccentric Farmer, because this guy's ranked really high. But I'm going to look for Audric's Outrider now. See where he ranks. You know what? If I'm able to edit these videos, I might just take this whole like looking through the lists part out. I don't remember ever getting Audric's Outrider as a pick. Like I never had the opportunity to pick him, so I don't remember ever seeing him on the list because I've never looked for. Ah, okay, 85, really high on the list. I think that might actually be higher than the eccentric farmer. So, yeah, and with good reason. I mean, I was about to pick this card without even looking at the list, but I just wanted to get a good idea of how high above it was amongst all these other cards, and it is the highest ranked card amongst all of them, I believe. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be this guy. 2-4 for 4 is fine. Not in a bubble, that's just not enough. But when you have uh, giving it, let's see, when it or another creature dies, put a +1 counter on any creature you control. Really, that's that ability. I mean, you could put that on a 1/1 for 1, and it's really good. Like anytime something dies, put a 1/1 counter on anything you control. Really good, really good card. And it triggers on himself dying. There's a lot of reasons why this card is really good, but +1 counters. Maybe that's a theme now for our deck. Counters. All right, what else? Oh, this guy's ranked really high. Highest ranked common of all the cards. Yeah, and it's probably the... Oh, wait, Shipwreck Sifters. Oh, okay. This card is not ranked very high, and I used to think that this card was pretty darn good, being able to, pump himself up, but it turns out there's a lot of that kind of thing going around in this format. So, whereas this guy, a little bit more unique, gain a life every time a creature comes into play. That can be very handy, and then it also has that disturb. It's super cheap. It does a lot of work. So, I mean, it's an obvious pick. I've already got this one. We already talked about that card. If I wasn't playing white, like, see, I might take Unruly Mob over Homestead Courage. Creature dying deck. That's what this deck is turning out to be. We're not really going with the Organ Hoarder theme at all, are we? Yeah, Lunarch Veteran. That's our pick. We don't really need to consider the cards that are off color. I'm doing a stream recording, so I'm talking a lot. All right. Now we are kind of bummed at our picks right now. I don't really want this guy. I mean, I'll take him if I have to. Lifelink isn't the worst thing to have on your creatures. I just don't know, like, if I can really splash for this card. Maybe I can. Is it worth it though? I mean, this card is really good if you have the deck to support him, but I don't know that I'm really making that deck. I trust 2 cards and lose 2 life. I'd hate to take this card and then just not play it and then find out that I just don't have enough things that I have to play this guy. Which I really hope I don't have to. So in that case, if I'm looking at worst case scenario, which card would I rather get stuck with? I'm going to go with the opportunity of maybe I might play black, but let's put it in the sideboard because I don't know that I am playing black yet. All right, these all wheeled back to me, it looks like. I don't remember what I talked about being the better of all of these cards, but I think that this one certainly isn't the worst. It definitely has value. It doesn't do anything the turn you cast it, but you can definitely draw a card with it, and then you can do it again. And it's instant speed, so if you're not doing anything else with your mana, might as well. As opposed to drawing 3 cards, sacrificing a creature. You know, I might get to the point where... What's the matter? It melted together? Frozen together? Yeah. It's wet. I mean, that ice gets wet in the ride home, you know? Yeah. Okay. It's not as bad as the last time. It was just one giant block. Let's try Vivisection. We'll give it a shot. I mean, Secrets of the Key. I probably would not play this, but so if I could help it, I'd probably try to avoid playing this. But whereas this card, if I happen upon the deck that supports this, where I've got a bunch of tokens that I can sacrifice, then maybe this is the better card. We'll put it in the sideboard just in case. All right, here we talked about Moon Silver Key being specific to like one other card in the entire set, and maybe we'll get that. But even if we do, we don't need this card. This is only good if you have that card. Whereas this card, I'll probably play, and is ranked higher than all the other cards. It's a great combat trick. It's good card advantage. It's all around good card, I think. Flip the switch came around. I think this is this telegraphing that I should definitely be playing the colors I picked? Possibly. We'll see if I end up playing flip the switch. I think I will. Okay, there's a no-brainer. It's like I could play any of these cards, but I don't want to play either of these. Stuffed bear. It's not the worst card in the world, but I don't know. I don't know if it's good. Cathar Commando. That's what I'm taking. Might just play it after all. Ooh, there's 2 removals I don't want. Which one's worse? This one gets rid of enchantments. I'm not going to play either of these. What would be more threatening? Probably the spirits. Not playing that. I don't know why I even thought that long about it. This card is not good. It is maybe one of the worst rares, I think. Where's it ranked? Let's take a look. On the ranks, it is ranked. Yep, nope, not the worst rare. It's the 3rd worst rare. Just above Piting Needle and Curse of Silence. Oh, no, wait, 4th worst rare. There's also Curse of Shaken Faith. There's a lot of rares at the bottom of this list, and this is one of the 4. It's one of the 4 of the unplayable rares on the list. So There's no need to even talk about this. I mean, instant speed means you're only going to get its effect for the turn that it happens, and then uh, you have to have things enter the battlefield. This is like one of those cards that may work as like a combo with something else, but um, yeah, this would be great with like some sort of combo deck that like play a card, draw a card, play a card, draw a card. If you could somehow um, like cast a spell for like or like anytime you do something, a creature put a 1/1 into play or something like that. Yeah, this card has potential in constructed. I can definitely see that, but in this format, it probably falls real flat. This is an excellent card. This this might push me into black right here. I'm not really seeing a lot of other cards that. Well, this card is pretty okay, but let's look at foul play. Where is it on the list? Because I'm guessing it's going to be really high on the list. Let's see what the rank is. I want to know. I want to know the number. So it's definitely going to be a below 40. What was it? 44 for borrowed time. The next uncommon is Infernal Grasp, which is also really, really good black removal. Foul play, rank 54, really high up there. It's considered, what is this? The category it's under. It's considered a great first pick. Whereas this other card that I would pick instead is Search Party Captain. None of these other cards are really worth talking about. A flash flying 3/3, it's fine. But 5 mana, it's too much in this format. You need something a lot faster. You need to be spending your mana and your cards on more than just one flash 3/3. Maybe if you're playing like a flip the switch deck and you just loaded your deck full of flash cards. But even still, a 3/3 is not enough. It's going to die to like most things. Yeah. So, yeah, I think foul play is the pick here, and we move a little bit into black. My blue actually is not that strong. I mean, this card is ranked higher than all of my blue cards, and I think most of the deck's strength right now relies on the white. So this is a great card to move into, especially since I have like I took the Flesh Taker, and I also took no, I didn't. I didn't take anything. I just took the Flesh Taker in case we moved into black. And yeah, now we're moving into black because this card is great. All right. There's the other, the worst rare. Wow. These packs are bad. Chances are I'm going to get paired up against players that did not have such bad picks in their stack. Mysterious Tomb I don't think is great. I think it's too back and forth. You know, you want it to do one of these two things and not both. Drawing a card for 2 mana, that's not the one you want. I think you want the tap target non-land permanent. So you kind of wish that it didn't transform, but it transforms every time, which is super annoying. All right, I need to take a break real quick. All right, I'm back. Okay. Where was I? We were talking about people. Let's give them something to talk about. I think this guy's ranked the highest among these cards. Let's go ahead and find it. Yeah, I think we talked about this being the 4th highest ranked common card. And all of these other uncommons are not as good. Maybe this Alchemist. I'm not sure about the Alchemist, but we're not playing red for sure. The Awakener dude, we really need some creature sacrifice support because we're getting a lot of these creatures. Oh yeah, Thermo Alchemist is ranked just above this guy at 72. So 70 at 73, this makes it a really good pick. Um, yeah, even as yeah, this card's the pick, I think, to go with. These picks are going to get a little bit easier now that we have a better understanding of our deck, of what we're getting ourselves into here. Um, we know for sure that we're playing white, and we know for sure that we're going to be playing black. So let's go ahead and put the Flesh Taker back in, or put it in for the first time. Ooh, Rite of Oblivion. That is a great card. Again, sacrifice a creature. We really got to find an engine for cards like this. You know, this is such a great removal spell. Exile target non-land permanent for 2 mana, and then do it again for 4. It's so great. But we got to have non-land permanents. So this is where cards like not what was it, that one blue spell that puts an investigation token into play. Now we have foul play, which puts an investigation token into play. These are great cards to sacrifice, right? Because they're just these non-creature uh, token permanents that don't really do much. But also these Falcon Abominations, putting the 2/2s into play, make it work really nicely too. But we may or may not be playing blue. We have some good blue cards, but we also don't really have. I mean, all of the blue cards that we, except for Organ Order, put a 2/2 zombie into play, whereas nothing else in our deck really puts anything into play. It just takes away from things in play. Homestead Courage might end up in the sideboard here, but yeah, we really need an engine. We need some creature generation or other token generation, like investigate tokens or something. I'd probably rather use the investigation tokens to draw cards, but we just don't have the creature support yet to. Well, maybe we'll get there. This card is not really that great of a card. It's ranked pretty low. And the reason being is it's a beneficial aura. Not a lot of beneficial auras are great cards to play because when you have instant speed, oh, this is sorcery speed, but when you have cards like, nope, that's also sorcery speed. Well, shoot, this is a bad example. When you have any kind of instant speed removal, um, any kind of aura is going to be low ranked. Um, even if it's not instant speed removal, you cast this on your creature, and then afterwards you get it exiled. This ends up doing absolutely nothing. So you've just 2-for-1'd yourself, right? Because you had a creature, that creature died, that's one card. This is your second card, and then your opponent just used one card to get rid of it. So that's 2-for-1'ing yourself. This is a great card if you're playing red, which we're not. This card's pretty darn decent. But yeah, well, I think we talked about Morning Patrol before, but Red Oblivion's better in every way because it's removal. Devoted Graft Keeper. Cast a spell from your graveyard, tap target creature you don't control. Can only block creatures with flying. On the surface, this card looks good, but are we still playing blue? That's the question. Candle Trap's a good card. A little bit underappreciated, in my opinion. Anything that's like a creature engine? I don't think there is. Let's go ahead and look up the value of this one, or the rank of this one. It's an uncommon. White, uncommon. I was wrong about Join the Dance. It's actually ranked pretty high, 93. That's the one that puts the two 1/1 tokens into play. Now that I'm thinking about it, this deck could use a card like that. Putting some tokens into play. So we're still looking for the blue-white card in the rankings. Okay, I'd be really surprised if it'd be this low on the list. Yeah, I'm not seeing it yet. I must have passed it up. Or it's higher on the list than I thought. I guess it is. There's no way it's this low. It's not at the bottom of the list. But it's also not going to be higher than 44. Okay, so Borrowed Time is the highest on the list. Yeah, I must have passed it up. Just scrolling on my phone. I'm just not seeing it. Definitely should have seen it by now. Is this one of those like weird cards that they forgot to put on here? Okay, so Candle Trap, we talked about it before. It was ranked 142 on the list. Hmm. Nope, that's not it. Oh boy. I'm I'm just not seeing it. Did it sneak above 44? There's no way, right? It's not ranked higher than Borrowed Time. I thought that was the highest ranked uncommon. And this is an uncommon. Yeah, it couldn't be the top of the list. Okay, I'm just not seeing this thing on here. It's weird. Oh, wait, nope. Nope, that's not it. No, that's Teferi. There's Borrowed Time again. Infernal Grasp. Cathartic Pyre, Morbid Opportunist. Those are the four top uncommons. Foul Play, I think, is my highest ranked card so far. Is it? Yeah, because I don't have like any rares, do I? Kind of got screwed out of my rares. So yeah, Foul Play is my highest ranked card, which is why we moved into black. Oregon Hoarders ranked really high, but Ambitious Farmhand I think is the next ranked card under Foul Play. Still looking for the card that I'm looking at right now. Here we go. Rank 76. Just under Ecstatic Awakener. I think I could play three colors. I'll need to reprioritize getting more Evolving Wilds if I can. I passed one up in the last pack, or the last pick, I think, to get, what did I take? I took, um, oh yeah, I took Rite of Oblivion, I think, over an Evolving Wilds, which was the right pick and still is, I think. Really good card. It's ranked in the top 100. Anything above 100 is going to be something you're going to be playing in your deck. Yeah, let's go with this guy. I didn't really look at Shady Traveler. I'm sure he's really good. I already know he's really good, but this guy's ranked just at around the same place as Ecstatic Awakener. Under Foul Play, probably higher than Rite of Oblivion. We're going to make this guy work. He definitely goes good with Organ Hoarder because they both mill cards, but we don't really have a lot of stuff that works in our graveyard, do we? Or does something or interacts with our graveyard. This has flashback, so that's one card. So yeah, Rite of Oblivion is the first card that works with our graveyard. This has Disturb and this has Flashback. So far we only have 3. This works with itself because it has Disturb, except that, I mean, like, it works with the Organ Hoarder. Because it has Disturb. Cast a spell from your graveyard, tap target creature you don't control. We'll see if we can. We'll see. It's not ranked as high as Foul Play, so it's not really worth ditching black, but we could still play 3 colors. We can make it work. There's cards that fix mana that, like, maybe you don't want to have to play, but is worth it if you've got better cards to support. So we're going to take Devoted Graftkeeper. And there's our Evolving Wilds. Right in time, because I don't think I really want any of these other cards, right? This removes a card from the graveyard. This puts another card in the graveyard. What we need is cards that we can cast from our graveyard and cards that put tokens into play, and we're not seeing any of those, but we are seeing support of a 3-color deck. So we're just gonna make like this random 3-color deck here that doesn't really do anything. It's like another stall deck, stall tactics. Put one of them into your graveyard. Okay, so this is that scry card. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into the graveyard, so the other one just stays on the top of your library. Not very good. Drown Yard Amalgam, also not very good. Crawl from the Cellar. Is that really the best card from the set? Do we have any zombies? Here's a zombie. There's a zombie. You know what this does is it gives you a little bit of card advantage, and it's a card that you can cast from the graveyard. The only one that's in our colors. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. This is what we have to take. This one, oh, this one, target player mills 3 cards, but we don't need more enablers. We need more engines. So we're going to take Crawl from the Cellar. We're going to keep it here for now because I don't know where we're going to... Ooh, Ominous Roost. Sunset Revelry. Ooh, there's tokens right there, but then there's also Evolving Wilds, which we may need to take a 3rd. Discard 2 cards, put a 2/2 into play. This puts tokens into play. Only when you cast stuff from your graveyard. Okay, now we're starting to see a theme. This card connects the 2 cards, but you still have to cast stuff from your graveyard in order to do it. Interesting. All right. Ominous Roost is pretty low on the list, I think. We're gonna go ahead and look for it. Take the time. Baby, you can do it. Take the time, do it right. You can do it, baby. Do it tonight. What am I seeing? I'm seeing an Unruly Mob at rank 197. I'm seeing a Sunset Reveille at rank 195. That's this card and this card. In the 190s. What else am I seeing? There's Crawl from the Grave at 191. It's unfortunate. Now, I was talking about Novice Occultist before. That's ranked 192. That's ranked really low, but that is just the type of card that we need, right? It's a 2 mana 1/2 that when it dies, you draw a card and lose a life. I mean, that's what I want. I want creatures that replace themselves um, and want you to get rid of. Um, Ghoulish Procession is ranked 177. We didn't see one of those yet, but that is a really great card, and I'm surprised that it's ranked so low. Startle's ranked 176. We've seen, or we have a Startle in our deck. Um, oh, Shady Traveler's 163. We saw that in the last pick, and we didn't take it. Um, so it's between Evolving Wilds and Ominous Roost, and I'm trying to see where Ominous Roost lies on the list, because I know Evolving Wilds is pretty high. Shipwreck Sifter's 149, so just above 150, which makes it playable, in my opinion, but you don't, I mean, you could get better cards. So Ominous Roost is at 143, and Evolving Wilds is at 137. What do we need more? This puts tokens into play, which is what you want to be sacrificing. They have flying, so you kind of want to keep them too. Evolving Wilds, we already have 2 of. Is 2 enough to support a 3-color deck? Yes, it absolutely is. 2 is a great amount to accept. Are we going to see this come back to us? No. Somebody's definitely going to take this. This is an everybody card. Ominous Roost, even though it's uncommon, we might see more of these. I played a draft with my friend Sam, and I don't think he advised me to take this card. We took like 3 of them, and we played all of them, and then we ended up losing like all of our matches except for one. I think we won 1 match. But this card can screw you over. But we kind of need this engine. We need cards that go into our graveyard. So, I mean, from the get-go, we're kind of forcing this deck, right? We're forcing a deck that tells us that we want to be putting stuff in our graveyard and we want to be casting stuff from our graveyard. I think we can find a better engine than this. This is just a little bit too slow, I think. It doesn't have enough impact. And like we had 3 in play at one point, I think. And then like the dream was to finally cast something from your graveyard to get like 3 1/1s because we had all 3 of them in play. The problem was we had like 8 cards that we could cast from our graveyard and we never drew any of them. And we didn't mill any of them. We just never got around to finding them. So it never triggered. We only ever got the 1/1 when it came into play, which 3 mana for a 1/1 flying is not a good deal. So maybe it's ranked under Evolving Wilds for a reason. This card's super universal. We need as many as we can get. 2 is enough. 3 makes it even better. So I think we take Evolving Wilds. This card's great too. Putting 2 1/1s into play would really fuel our deck. And I think that we could get that 4 life and the draw card to trigger, maybe not the draw card. Well, no, everything's pretty low cost in our deck, so we would definitely be drawing cards. Um, but I think this adds more versatility to the deck, which is what we need. We need versatility. We don't need dependency. Yeah, let's take it. Highest ranked card in the picks. Hmm. That's pretty hilarious, right? Okay, so this puts tokens into play. It gets rid of things in your opponent's graveyard, which is useful. It also you can cast it twice. This is just the type of card that we're looking for. But so are both of these cards, which we just went into lengths talking about. So really just like if this was in the last pick, would we have picked this over Evolving Wilds? No, definitely not. I don't know where it's ranked, but I'm pretty sure it's ranked lower than Evolving Wilds. Let's go ahead and find it. Um, Still looking. I might be wrong. Nope. Ranked 236. Super low on the list. Why is it ranked so low? Couldn't tell you. Puts a 2/2 into play that you want to sack. So it's like exactly what we need. I don't know why people wouldn't take this over some of these other cards, except this card is probably better. It just gives you 2 of those tokens outright. But you can cast this from the graveyard, and you're getting advantage out of casting things from the graveyard. Hmm. It does other things, though. I think that's really how this card shines is that if you can draw a card off of it, then then you've really made this card do its work for you. Be really lucky to get 2 creatures out of this. And that's all it does. Granted, those creatures are flying. 3 mana to get 2 creatures, 2 1/1 flyings, or 2 mana to get 2 1/1s and draw a card. That already makes it better. But if you can gain 4 life, that's like cream on the cake, or frosting. That's frosting. So let's frost ourselves. Let's take Sunset Revelry. Being swayed by Draftism to take the higher ranked cards. It was probably the right choice, but it just didn't. I don't know. I think that other zombie card could be really useful too. This is a sorcery, so that's another thing. The other one was an instant. Can't cast this from your graveyard. I, I don't know if that's the right pick. All right, so Consider is ranked pretty high. Pretty sure it's ranked higher than Stormrider Spirit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the list. Don't you just love it? Okay, I'm just on the list, and Stormrider Spirit is 247. 247 versus Consider, which I know is ranked higher. 247. 247. Am I wrong about this? Is considered rank? Nope, 131. Wow, over 100 ranks higher. They're 2 completely different cards. Really hard to compare. Like, let's say this was 4 mana. Let's just say 4 mana for a 3/3 flash flying. It would probably be an uncommon, let's say, instead of a common because of that shift in cost. Um, and then you have Consider, which does something that is just not even comparable. Just draw a card, put a card in your graveyard. This goes with the theme of our deck, whereas this doesn't. This is just a, I mean, like, if we're trying to build a flying deck, maybe, but I'm going to go with the higher ranked card because um, I don't think that this is really going to make a difference in our deck. What we need is instead of cards like this, I'd prefer like an actual removal spell to get rid of an opponent's creatures. This might find us cards. We're more likely to see more of these in the future than these. So that's another reason to consider. Okay. All right. I'm going to take Startle again. It's a good card. It gives us tokens. This one just shuffle up to 4 cards from your graveyard into your library. Seems useful in a deck like that we're milling stuff, casting things from the graveyard. If we accidentally hit something that we can't cast from the graveyard, we just put it back in our library, but really this is all about a counterspell, and a counterspell that costs 4 is not really playable in this format. When you have cards like Flip the Switch, much better card. And it fuels the deck, right? Puts a 2/2 into play, it does what we want it to do. So we're going to take Startle because it does what we want it to do, puts a counter into play. Ugh. Put it in your graveyard. All of these cards are ranked very poorly. The card that draws us cards. I've also been killed by this card more than once, where my opponent has forced me to draw 2 cards and then I lose the game because I was only at 2 life. Like exactly 2 life. Both times I was exactly 2 life and then they got me with this. It's instant speed. You can do some tricks with that. Not highly ranked, but ooh, Candle Trap. It's a good pass. Take that. We'll take Consider over Unruly Mob. Not just because it's ranked higher, but because... Well, let's see. We already have a Consider. Whenever another creature you control dies. I think, no. Let's take Unruly Mob. May not play it, but I don't really want to have to be playing 2 Considers. Okay, this is going into the sideboard. Ooh, there's a good werewolf. Wish that would have been our first pick. Then we could have like third picked that other werewolf that was uncommon. Had a bomb deck. This is the type of card that you would rare draft if you really wanted this card to like play in standard, but you didn't have like the wild cards to play it or to buy it. This card's pretty good. Is it better than Abomination? Not sure. But we've opened ourselves up to 3 colors. So let's take advantage of that by looking at all of these cards. Ooh, Geistwave. Yeah, Geistwave is good. I don't think it's as good as Abomination. But Nebelgast. Nebelgast, where are you on the ranks? Let's take a look. There's so many cards here that we're looking at. No, oh, Nebelgast Intruder, rank 119. Is that good? It's ranked higher than Search Party Captain, which is the 2/2 that draws you a card. It's ranked lower than, let's Let's see if we can find something that's ranked lower than it is in this stack. Ranked lower than Abomination. An uncommon, it's ranked lower than a flying. And the reason is this puts a token into play, and we need tokens. So not only is it ranked higher, but it fuels our deck a little bit better. This one, it's just a combat trick and disguised as a creature. For 3 mana, would you rather a combat trick or 2 creatures in play? I think 2 creatures. Hobbling Zombie, I think, is ranked lower than I would have ranked it. I think it's pretty darn good getting a creature in play and killing a creature because it has Death Touch. Death Touch is super valuable in this format and pretty much all formats. No, I mean, not construct draft formats. But the other card, Geist Wave, that card is ranked. Let's see if we can find it real quick. 169. Much lower than I would have ranked it. This card is really good, Geist Wave. It's great for tempo. Great for a lot of things, actually. But we're going to take Abomination because that's the highest ranked cards among cards that are in our colors. And it's just a solid card in general. Okay, this guy's highest ranked common card, right? So that's, since none of the uncommons are in our colors, we already know which one the highest ranked card is in the pack. That's for us. I talked about this card. It's ranked really low, but I think it's super useful, especially in a deck like ours. You want to be sacking creatures. This is a creature to sack, and it costs less to do it. And you get a creature in the graveyard, so it's like drawing a card. So I think because you can cast it from your graveyard, if I were to mill this, self-mill, I think this one is really handy. Now, Secrets of the Key, probably a better card than Consider in this particular deck because you get that investigation token. And that's something that you need in order to like activate certain things that you like if you're sacrificing something. Can't think of what it was. It sacks like a non-land permanent. There was something in here. Oh yeah, Rite of Oblivion. Sacrifice an non-land permanent. Is that the only thing that looks like it? Okay, well, in any case, this is the best card in the pack, so we're going to take it over cards that we might also play. We've talked about this card a lot. I think this card might be ranked highest. No, this guy's ranked highest of the commons. This will be our second Ecstatic Awakener. It does not fuel the engine, it burns the engine. It burns the fuel, sorry. This fuels the engine, but not ranked as high. Do we have enough fuel? We're getting there. If we play our blue, we definitely do. Definitely do. If we keep getting picks like this, we may end up cutting white, which seems crazy. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about this. Blade Stitch Scab. How high is this guy? He's probably really high, but how good is he? He works with all of our token generation cards. He's probably ranked pretty high. I don't know if he's ranked higher than the ecstatic dude. Um, maybe he is. I think that he is. Yep. Rank 53. Considerably higher. I almost didn't see him too. So he's the highest ranking card in these picks. And he works with the deck because we have so much like token generation, right? All of these little tokens are, yeah, see, now I'm looking at Sunset Revelry and thinking I should have taken that low ranked card that puts a zombie into play, because now we're getting zombies, and I mean this eats creatures, and this uses those creatures and makes them better. I think that's the pick. I'm just all over the place now. Yeah, and here's this. But we don't have that other card to like compare it to. Discard 2 cards, created zombie with decayed. Investigate token. If we do play white, this is the card to take because of the 2 1/1s. But I mean, that 2/2 could be a 3/2 that we use to sack to, I don't know, give this +2/+2 in response to them blocking our 3/2 that was just going to die anyway. Um, yeah, this is a tough one. I want to say Sunset Revelry is the pick here. But I just don't know if we're going to be playing white anymore. How good is our white? We could probably put this in the sideboard. We're definitely not playing that. We may or may not play that. That's a filler card. It's meant as a sideboard card, but since we're playing best of one, I don't think... Okay, this one's really good. Whenever a creature dies, all of my zombies die, so this works with the deck really well. I may have to cut one of these colors, though. If I cut white, I'm cutting Rite of Oblivion and Flesh Taker. Really tough. This is a card with Disturb. Playing a lot of startles. I mean, this is a combat trick that puts a token into play. I think we're going to be overproducing tokens. Probably not. I'll take Sunset Revelry. Okay, Ambitious Farmhand. It's our second one of those. That's a really good card. Ranked higher than this guy. Here's... Oh, we already had this. Crawl from the Cellar. Put a counter on a zombie. We have zombies. Creature card from graveyard. Let's take this guy. Here's another one of these. And another Evolving Wild. Shucks. Do we want a 4th Evolving Wild? Would make it pretty incredible. Make it real versatile. Got 27 cards here. 3 of them are Evolving Wilds, which makes 24. playable cards. So we're over our limit. What are we cutting? What are we cutting for this? Or are we just playing? Let's, you know what? We have a bunch of playable cards. Since we're already cutting cards, I'm playing something over this. Probably cutting Blood Pact. So that puts me at 23 cards. I don't know if I like this Organ Hoarder. Yeah, I'm probably not going to play him. High ranked card that I'm not going to play again. We've got a theme here. So I definitely could use this card, right? Mill 2 cards. Cast a spell from a graveyard, tap target creature you don't control. I'm already milling so much. How many creatures am I playing? 12? I do need more creatures. 3/1 flying. That's probably why this card's rated so high, because when it comes back it's a 3/1 flying, you're just attacking with it for 3 damage in the air. That's pretty darn good. Over the Evolving Wild. Alright, what have we got? Okay, we didn't take this No Way Out before, did we? We passed it, so now we can take it. It's token production. That's token production. Yeah, that's the card. We could even main deck it and cut something worse than it, I think. I don't think that we're going to be playing either of these cards, but the card I'd rather play is probably this Flash Flying dude, just because he's vanilla. He has no requirements. Nothing that he relies on. Geist Wave is great, especially if you like bounce a creature like Abomination. You block with your Abomination, you bounce it, you don't take the damage from whatever massive lifelinker he's got coming at you, and then they don't gain any life because they don't deal the damage. That's why I like Geist Wave. Right. I think we talked about Seekers to the Key being good because it puts a token into play that you can sack with Rite of Oblivion. That's the only card that it interacts with, but I mean, draw 1 card for 3 mana, or draw 2 cards for 3 mana and lose 2 life. And then you can also cast it again for 3 more mana. I think Seekers to the Key is long-term better. But we'll put it in the sideboard because I don't think we're going to play it. Ooh. Okay. We have like hardly any removal in this deck. I think a Silver Bullet might actually be something that we need. Our removal is sad. We're gonna get rolled over because we don't have the removal. I think we have to take this, even though this is a good card to play in sack. I'm worried about token into play. I'm worried about getting rolled by, you know, maybe like that werewolf deck that we didn't get to pick. Opponent's discard, create a 2/2. All right. Now that we've got this made, we can put the deck together, but I think we're going to have to do that another time because I'm out of time. But we only have 4 cards to cut. I think we're in really good shape here. Not sure what to cut, but let's take a look at the list when we get back. Probably take out Consider. I might end up taking Crawl from the Cellar out. Let's take those 2 things out first. I only have 1 Ecstatic Awakener. Huh. Interesting. Thought I had more. What's our color distribution like? 1397. Gain a life, scry 1. Whenever you sacrifice a creature. Decade says sacrifice it at the end of the combat. That's really good. Okay. He's definitely a staple in this deck now. Just for that, gain a life and scry 1 every time your decayed creatures die. Super good. I can see this card being really good. It's just a 3/1 flyer. Not to mention the upside of casting things from our graveyard and tapping our opponent's creatures. 2 or less. Our removal is sad. 13 creatures. Some of these count as creatures though. So we've got, oh, you know what? These ones probably need to go. Opponent discards a card. This isn't, oh, or startle. Maybe we do one of each. Just keep the opponent guessing. That might be the deck. I think this is good enough to like test out the consistency of things. Yeah, when it comes down to it, it's going to be like a decision between startle and no way out. Which one do I take out and which one do I put a second one in? Yep. I think that's how we're going to do it. All right. Okay. We'll play these games another day. Until next time.